So, as promised, I got the actual pieces that were made during that period in Germany, and we will watch a game with these pieces. The game is Alekhine Rohechek, Munich 1931, round 10 of this tournament that was played from September 8th to September 24th. The tournament was won by Stolz, as we can see here. Alekhine is second. Honestly, the book is really beautiful in this sense, because it's made by the big historical research that the author made, right? So that's kind of interesting. Let me change the position of the pieces so you can see the game from the winner side. Okay. Honestly, I would like one day to make a kind of a review of what I think of these chess pieces, right? Because I found that also in some Soviet pieces the rooks looks like some ashtrays from the 1970s, honestly. I'm sorry, I'm just telling you the truth. And watch this bishop. This bishop, I don't know, obviously I don't want to be censored by YouTube, so I will not tell you what I think, but it could also look like a bullet. I mean, it doesn't make, it's not like a real bishop, right? That we are a bit in the Staunton pieces. And look, this queen. This queen seems faceless, while some queens in the Staunton are kind of more artistic. Especially, I don't dislike much these knights, honestly, to tell you the truth. But they are kind of very minimalist, simplistic, right? They are not really difficult to make. All in all, I'm very happy to have this set, because it's a piece of history. And like the philosopher Santayana said, if I remember well, he said, those who don't remember history are doomed to repeat it, right? So that's why we need books like this, and we need to have also historical artifacts that remind us that those things were very real. Okay. So Alekhine was white. The game is based on Alekhine annotations, and it's taken from Skinner and Verhoeven, and it's game 2293 in pages 660-661. So this is the source of the game. It's another book, okay? Alekhine started with e4, and black played e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, and knight f6. By the way, the chessboard is not an original chessboard from the period. I think it's from the 1960s, and I believe it was made in Ukraine. But also in Ukraine there were the Nazis, I think, so they told me. There was this Stefan Banderas that was a philo-Nazi regime, right? Castle, b5, bishop b3, knight takes e4. And now there is d4, obviously opening the other diagonal for that bishop and fighting for the center. This is what we do in the opening, right? And of course, black does the same. D takes e5, and there is bishop e6. Obviously this needed to be defended because it was attacked twice. And this is a thing that we should always think in our games, right? We should try to make developing moves that attack or eventually defend if it's nearly really needed. c3, bishop e7. Notice the difference. White has already castled, but in reality is still 2 pieces behind in the development. So that's kind of interesting, right? This move a4 was also played against Ove in game 13 of their 1935 match. Remember, this is 1941, 6 years later, okay? That game ended up in a draw, and differently from Ove, here in this game rook b8 was played, Ove played b4, okay? So that's the difference, rook b8. This is an uncommon reply which doesn't have a good record. Practically it seems black loses 4 times out of 5. I don't know. Maybe, however, it depends who is the white player. If the white player is the world champion, yeah, probably the opening is not going to have a good record, right? A takes b5, a takes b5, and now there is knight d4. This line was played also in Tarrasch Mason in Monte Carlo 1902, and also in that case Tarrasch won in something like 24 moves. So for those who like to see other games, clearly here there is a reference. And of course, black played knight takes e5. Now, obviously, the Spanish opening has a very, very long history. Also, this game has been seen in Capablanca, Corzo, Havana, 1913. Okay, so clearly there are a lot of games that have been played in the Spanish opening, also called Ruy Lopez. Now, Alekhine continue with f3, and there is also the possibility to play f4, okay? But we just continue to see the game. After f3, black plays knight c5. After which we have bishop c2, and as we can see, this knight c5 gave white a kind of advantage. Why? Because probably he wanted to go back and attack on that diagonal or take control of d3. So sometimes some moves give the opponent the chance to do what he already wants. In that case, it's a kind of advantage for that opponent, right? And so we should try to avoid it, to give him something that he wants. And we need to make him waste the tempo for doing it. Bishop d7, obviously now there is b4, that was kind of clear once you play bishop c2. And where do you put the knight here? Well, this is kind of interesting, no? Because it seems that this move isn't good, and it was played in the game. This would have been better. So imagine that. This would have been better. Obviously there is an idea behind that. Okay, so I think maybe the author should have shown why. Yeah, and here it just said you should have played that. Yeah, okay, but okay. So let's see. Knight b7, which is dubious. Queen e2. We still have this in the center. That is kind of problematic. Knight c4. Rook e1 and king f8. Okay, the position of black is by this point kind of terrible, I think, because this is out of the game, so I don't know if he wants to create an attack on the king side, But if he can't, I mean, this king is blocking everything, right? Bishop f4, so pin this, behind there is this. Knight b, d6. Very good. And here it's considered a mistake, a dubious move. It was better to play this. Okay. Knight d2, and now there is a mistake, because black played this. With a computer they found that this was probably the best move. Alekhine thought this was interesting because it had some poison as a move, but again, in the time, in Alekhine time, they needed to analyze by themselves. They didn't know if something was good or bad, like us, that we can only click. Now, if you are white, what would you play? As always, guys, I tell you, get your 3 minutes clock, turn it, and think a little, because that's a critical moment in the game, and you need to decide what to do for white. That will also help you to improve your chess. So I hope you pause the video. The right move was knight takes c4. Black played g takes f4, and now there is the real reason why knight takes c4 was played. That wasn't to exchange here, obviously. It was to move the piece forward, that is knight e5. And this is kind of important, because you want to bring the pieces in the opponent territory, because otherwise they cannot attack, right? So you need to have them in the opponent territory. Black played bishop f6, and obviously here you see what happened, okay? White played knight d on c6, attacking the queen, attacking the rook, and so kind of important, right? Bishop takes c6, knight takes c6, and now there is queen c8. Obviously, at this point, the world champion Alekhine takes on b8, and black takes 2. So at this point, white has an advantage, right? Okay, how does the game continue here? White played queen d2, attacking this, and black played queen b6, giving check. King h1, and now there is queen c6. Now, guys, I think you need to get again your little clock, think a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, because you need to decide what to do in this position. Okay, so if you were Alekhine, what would you play? This is a kind of interesting position, because Alekhine thought that he couldn't save this by directly playing rook a3, but he can, and now I will show you the analysis, because I believe it might be interesting. So Alekhine played bishop b3, but it's not good. The right move seems it was rook a3. Now, what can black do? Okay, you say, wait a minute, if he plays rook a3, the next move is knight c4, right? Forking the queen and the rook. Okay, so obviously you and Alekhine are really good players, because you found this fork. But as always, sometimes we need to go a little farther in our analysis in order to see what happens. For example, do you see the fact that this file is controlled by white? Good. So if you saw that, you know that this guy cannot escape on the E file if attack, right? So how do you continue here? With queen takes f4, knight takes a3, so he took our rook, thank you very much. Queen h6, king g8, obviously he cannot play this, okay? Why he cannot play this? Because the queen c6 is behind as is unprotected. So that's why king g8. I also in the beginning said, well, why he cannot play this? And then I saw the queen c6, okay? So he plays this, king g8, and now there is this, bishop f5, okay? Obviously now the author gives you a line, a possible line. These three moves, however, could have been found by Alekhine because obviously he was a guy that probably was able to see at least 5 moves ahead, okay? So he says knight c4, followed by h4, knight d2, rook e7, d4, bishop d7, and obviously again there is bishop takes e7 and bishop takes c6, winning the game or having a decisive advantage, okay? I can show you maybe another line. No? Now, as you can see, the problem is that once you take the rook there, it seems you lose as black. But I welcome you to analyze it by yourself. The author use a computer, so we practically are sure that at this point white is going to win. Okay. Let's return back to the position. Okay, so after bishop b3, which was a mistake, luckily black played another mistake to give a chance to Alekhine to win the game. At this point, you guys need to use your clock if you want. Pause the video, try to find out what Alekhine played, which was a really great move. The move is queen c1, after which black continued with d4, and after queen takes f4 there was a big blunder by black. Black had to play this, bishop takes e1, after which there was obviously queen h6 and king g8. And here you need to follow the analysis inside because it's a kind of long and it's stockfish made. That's a fact. So I don't know if black would have been ever able to play all this series of moves like stockfish does. Okay, that's an important thing. Eventually get the book and see if you are able, if it makes sense to you. Okay. In any case, black plays this move, d3, and white continues with rook e c1. But in reality there is a very beautiful move that is this. Boom! So why this is a very beautiful move? Because this is the defender of this. After you take it, is a checkmate. So this move is amazing. But obviously, again, sometimes it's difficult to find the right move, right? It's not so easy. For us that we live in a different period with a click of a mouse, we can have access to stockfish. We know the right move, but Alekhine didn't. So what can you do? D2, which makes sense because, you know, guys, the problem is that when you have an isolated queen pawn, you want to push it, because if you push it far enough, the opponent has to give up everything to stop that thing. But in this case, I don't think it's correct, because here white needs to find the right move, and it's not so easy. Again, you need to think in white place and see what it will be your analysis. The right move was queen h6 check, okay? After which there was bishop g7 and probably queen takes d2. Instead, white played rook c2, and here practically black played a mistake, another blunder, played queen a6. Instead, queen e8 with the idea of queen e1 was the move that would have won the game. Or at least it's equally material at that point, right? But after this, unfortunately, everything goes down because rook d1 block the pawn. The queen is kind of misplaced, and after this move, white plays this, and the game is over, and Alekhine won. So I hope you enjoyed this game from Chess in the Third Reich. There are many more games that I will show you little by little. I'm honestly happy of the historical research, of the tables that I could see inside. Honestly, I discovered that Keres was a great player thanks to his book, and so I think I will go to look in my Keres games books and show some of his games, because clearly in his 20s Keres was like Alekhine. It was incredible, and this book shows it. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Thank you.